Hi, I'm Michael Gadlin.
And I'm Kate Perdoni. Welcome back to Arts District from Rocky Mountain PBS.
Very few kids dream of becoming an astronaut and an artist.
That's true, but Denver's Ed Dwight did both. He was hand-selected by President John F. Kennedy to become the first African-American astronaut at NASA.
Then, the tragic events of 1963 resulted not only in the president's death, but also the death of Ed's dream.
Still, as Arts District's Tamara Banks shows us, Ed's determined spirit and his talent have made him an internationally acclaimed sculptor.
I'm doing the mayor, and I'm doing a big project for the city of Kansas City, Missouri.
With limitless energy, astronaut turned internationally renowned sculptor Ed Dwight meticulously shapes masses of clay into some of the most spectacular artwork in the world, with a sense of humor to match. Today, Dwight sells more pieces around the world than in the U.S., Australia, Japan, the U.K., France, Switzerland, Norway, just to name a few.
Ed started out as an artist. Actually, it was his first love. As a young child of about 9 or 10 years old, he would help his grandfather collect scrap metal and then turn it into something beautiful.
At the age of 2, his mother put him in art classes.
I was doing art we had a family restaurant, and I did all the art for the restaurant and the menus and design and all that kind of stuff when I was 12, 13, 14 years old.
But he had his eyes set on the skies, even back then.
Our farm butted up against Fairfax Airport, and I had been going to the airport every day since I could walk.
As he got older, hunters hired him to clean the planes after a hunting trip.
By the time I was a little older, I said, well, look, I don't want to clean these airplanes, I want to fly.
By the time he was 9 or 10, he took to the skies. Sort of.
I started building airplanes out of orange crates. I built a neighborhood airplane out of Safeway orange crates. And I would take all the neighborhood kids flying in my plane. I made plane noise until we're over Paris now. I swear to God. And people thought I was crazy.
Crazy or not, that dream became a reality. He joined the Air Force in 1953. Dwight was working on his master's when one day he received a letter out of the blue at the direction of President John F. Kennedy from the Pentagon, asking if he'd like to be an astronaut.
Something about, I could end up being the greatest Negro that ever lived. And
The greatest Negro that has ever lived.
Yeah. No, my answer was, even Jackie Robinson?
But his commander told him, they're not ready for you. In other words, you're black.
Well, if I do this, I could get on the cover of Ebony magazine. And the guy looked at me and he said, what the hell is Ebony magazine? What does that mean? What does it mean?
He put in his application anyway. 3 days later, he got a response. And soon, Dwight was on his way to become a test pilot and the first African-American in space.
A 29-year-old Negro says he's anxious to go into space. He's Captain Edward Dwight of the Air Force, selected to be an astronaut, the first of his race to be so designated.
But then, one of the ugliest moments in our nation's history changed the lives of every American, including Ed Dwight.
When the president died, you bet, because the fit hit the shan. Kennedy was dead. Now, President Johnson got to make a decision.
Dwight says the government tried to paint him as a national threat.
And the dossier had me trying to kill the president. I was in Arizona. I was in New Mexico, in Old Town Albuquerque, standing on a park bench in downtown Albuquerque in my uniform, firing a .45 caliber pistol in the air, saying I'm kidding, I'm going to kill President Johnson. And I was shooting in the air, and the way the thing read, that the local cops just circled the thing. They didn't get out of their cars. They circled the park, all these police cars, while they called the military at Kirtland Air Base. That's when the military came out and purportedly arrested me, took the gun away from me, put me in a straitjacket, and I was in a straitjacket for 30 days at Kirtland Hospital, okay? I've been to Kirtland one time in my life, and that was to get some gas in my jet.
Story after story. That's why, after 16 years, he decided to leave the Air Force and move to Denver. Eventually, he landed a job with IBM and soon created the art for their offices. He left IBM and started a number of companies, including an aviation company, construction company, and a chain of restaurants called the Rib Cage.
Had restaurants all over town, girl. You know.
It wasn't until later in life that Dwight learned about the rich and often brutal African American history in the U.S.
And I got really, really, really upset because all this stuff had gone on while I was living, even while I was lynchings and all that stuff. And I read that and I got really angry.
Dwight was so angry and inspired to tell the stories about African Americans through his art that he sold all of his businesses and went back to school at the age of 42 and got a master's.
Because of my world experience, they put me in charge of the sculpture department at the University of Denver. So I ran the sculpture department there for 3 years.
I asked him if he ever looks back on his career as a test pilot, having come so close to becoming the first African American in space, and wonder how he got here to become one of the most sought-after sculptors in the world.
Had I not done that, I wouldn't have had the, I don't know, I'll use a good word, fortitude, to do anything approaching this.
This extraordinary art. As a young man, Dwight hadn't studied Harriet Tubman or Frederick Douglass.
If there was any discrimination, I thought it was because I was short and not because I was black. So it wasn't until later when I really saw the depth of it and how dastardly it was when I started reading all this black history. And I said, oh my God, I mean, something happened before I was born.
That's why so much of Dwight's artwork today depicts African Americans and Africans and their contributions to the world.
Ed has created more than 130 monuments and public art pieces all across the United States and showcases his bronze sculptures in galleries and private collections across the world.
He was also included in the recent PBS documentary Chasing the Moon, part of the American Experience History series. The link is on your screen, so check it out. Plus, there's a ton more to learn about Ed's accomplishments at eddwight.com.